Welcome back to another episode of the Bamboo Season Podcast. I'm your host, Sober Wellness Coach Dorian Wormsley, the podcast where you will find real stories from real people. Me and my guests share our journey, raw and authentic, to help you feel seen, to help you on your growth of transformation, your journey of growth and transformation. You get it. As you know, it's a storytelling podcast, baby. I love good stories. I love to hear the trauma. It sounds crazy, right? I want to hear trauma, but it helps you understand and feel you're not alone. It helps you feel like you're capable when you hear other people still going, still kicking after what they've been through. My guest today, I promise you, it's something you only hear in a movie. I'm not lying. I'm not trying to hook you in. It's really something that cannot be made up. I've never met nobody like this. I bring you my man, Deshaun Childs.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate the intro. That was perfectly stated.
Yeah. And like I said before we started, don't feel nervous. You've sat across.
Deep
yeah.
breaths.
Go ahead. Do the techniques you use with people.
That's right.
This is an easy conversation flowing. The cameras aren't here. There's no right or wrong. Don't feel like you need to perform or be a certain way. It's mine. You can do what you want.
I appreciate that.
Just be
Thanks
real.
A lot. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
So before we hop into everything of your story and everything, Deshaun, give us a breakdown. What is it you do? Who do you help?
So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been fully licensed here for about 5 years.
Okay.
Right now I work at a couple of different agencies. I would say not my ideal population, but the population I'm serving right now would be couples, individuals, families. And I do some private practice work as well, but for right now I work at a couple of different agencies. But couples, groups, individuals, and that's pretty much. But I would say my ideal population right now is be adolescents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the adolescent population about 11 to 18.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you start with, what was like the group of people you started with? Or how long have you been practicing in general?
Actually, I've been practicing, I would say I've been in the mental health field for about 20 years. To be honest with you. Okay, so I would say in Las Vegas, though, this is my second stint here. I would say I go back from 2010 to 14. So that's 4 years. I'll include in that with these recent 5 years. So I would say altogether about 9 years in this Las Vegas area.
Where were you other?
San Diego.
San Diego, is that where you're from?
Originally from Chicago, but
okay.
My children were born in San Diego, so I eventually migrated to San Diego, California, and so we came to Vegas from San Diego. This is my second time, so I went Vegas to San Diego to Vegas twice.
Damn.
So I've been in both places within the last 10 years, back and forth.
That's a good.
But now I'm here permanently now. So,
are you?
Yes.
Okay. Any ideas?
Not moving. I'm licensed here now. I'm not leaving.
So what was the first demographic of people you worked with when you first started?
It was always adolescents. I would say that I was working at a place in San Diego called Home Start. This was my introduction into the world of working in mental health. I wasn't a therapist, of course. I was just kind of a counselor, I would say, behavioral, like a counselor and like an advocate. And I would say that's when I first got the fervor for working in this field. I would say working with young people in homes. It was kind of like we were doing intensive treatment in your home location. So it's like I was kind of more intensified services I was actually providing. That gave me my kind of like, my desire to want to do more because I recognize myself a lot in the young people that I was helping and supporting, the families I was supporting. And so that's what got me into it. And then later I went into the in-prison setting.
Wow.
So I started working with different inmates throughout different California prisons. San Quentin, I was there. LA County Prison, I was there for 2.5 years. RGD Donovan Prison, I was there for a year or so. So I think I went into the adult population, but it was the prison kind of demographic. And then from there, I came to Vegas and I've been working with families primarily and then also couples as well. So I feel like I ran the gamut. I feel like I've done it all.
Yeah.
I would say my strength area, like I said, is mostly adolescents, but I tend to serve everybody.
Man. I feel like almost with anything, when you first get into it, you got to try to shoot your arrows all around to kind of find what calls you. And like, I love the idea of doctors, how they have to go through residency cycles, and try different to kind of see what calls and pulls them.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was a capability for most people in different fields of work to get that experience. Because something might sound good at first, and then you might get into it and you're kind of like, oh, this ain't for me. And then you might meet that one person who's like, oh, wow, I want to dive there, right?
I think that when I was young in the field, I think that I was experiencing transference a lot. And people don't really know what that is, but I wasn't healed enough as an individual.
Wow.
And so a lot of things I was experiencing from their story, I was kind of having an emotional kind of feeling about it inside, and I was having feelings of transference, and so I felt like I needed a little bit more seasoning, you know what I mean, before I can actually work with this population of young people, because I wasn't healed yet.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was serving, and a lot of people in psychology is kind of like that. You know, some people come into it because they're kind of the bleeding hearts. Some people more because academics. Some people are more kind of like because they want to heal some of their past situations, whatever. It's not an exact science. So, you know, we all kind of have different things we want to offer into the, you know, field of psychology. But I think that for me, I just wasn't healed enough to work with the adolescent population the way I am today.
Yeah.
So I kind of went, like I said, I went into the prison population because I felt like I can actually meet them where they were at better and whatever. But, and now I've come back full circle to where I started.
Wow.
But back in those days, I was not healed enough to work with that population. I was getting too many other feelings were coming into play that I wanted to fix, and I wanted to just heal everybody because of my upbringing.
So let's get into that.
Yeah.
So what was it you were unhealed from, or your upbringing that kind of was triggering back during this therapy?
Dorian, I'm gonna let you know that this is the first time that I've ever let this out, other than being in therapy and talking to people. So this is actually taking a lot of courage. One thing in becoming a therapist that people don't understand is not just what you learn in school. It's not just, you know, you having a skill set to connect with people. You know, having the ability to have courage, I would say, is the number one skill that I would say you need to have in this field, because people are hurting. And I think that as a young person, my family of origin, I was the youngest of 12 children. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let this out now, and kind of raw and uncut. It's not a therapy session, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know, you know, what's going on. So in Chicago, Illinois, my mother, she had 11 children, and she decided that 11 was her number. She didn't want to have any kids after that. And this is the old days. And so it's like, for her, 11 was her number. She had 2 abortions after the 11, and she was hell-bent on not having another child. 5 years after number 11, Deshaun is born. He has decided to have me. So I think that I was a blessing there from the very beginning. But in our family of origin, my family of origin, there was a lot of dysfunction, a lot of chaos, drug use and gang violence and gangster disciples in Chicago. We were South Side, and just a lot of stressors, you know, when I was born into that family system. And I don't think that I was protected that much because everybody's doing their own little thing. It was a house built of chaos. I had a brother who eventually became addicted to, when was it back then, to
Heroin.
He got addicted to heroin. And then from that point, what happened is he tried to steal from my mom. And this is me, you know, we all lived in the same house, 12 kids in the house, whatever. He was trying to steal from my mom in the middle of the night. I remember witnessing this situation. I was about 7 years old at the time. And she got a baseball bat, and she cracked him upside the head because he was trying to steal. She thought he was an intruder. And so she hit him upside the head with a baseball bat. Next scene in the story of my life is the ambulance is coming. My brother's being shipped away into the ambulance. I remember seeing the blood and things of that nature. About a week later, he gets released, and he burns down the house. We all lived in a house. And so I'm in a bathtub. My sister's giving me a bath, one of my older sisters or whatever. We're all running. You know, the house is going up in flames, middle of the night. We're all in the street. I see the news in front of me, the lights of the newscast, the news cameras in front of me. I'm a young person. House is going up in blaze. And before this moment in time, I felt like I was protected. I'm the baby of 12 people. Everybody's very big and strong. Even though there's chaos, I still felt like I was protected as the youngest person in this family. The moment that happened in the middle of the night when the house went down, I woke up in the morning at the Salvation Army with a blue sweater like I have on today. And I never saw my family together ever again. And so I'm 8 years old around that time frame, 7.5, 8 years old, and I'm actually put into foster care. We never ever reconnected. Never saw my mother after that situation. My father exited stage left. And from that point, that becomes the root event in my life where the disconnection began. The trauma, overwhelming trauma, because I don't know who I am yet. I haven't developed a sense of anything yet. You know, my brain is not wired yet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just managing that as a young person was probably one of the most difficult things that you would have to manage on this planet when you have zero protection. you're just thrown to the wolves, so to speak, and no one's coming back to rescue you. And so I dealt with that by just massively shutting down. You know, you're going from place to place. You're going from foster situation to foster situation. Eventually, an older sister of mine got custody of me, but she was an alcoholic, and she's very abusive, and we weren't closely related in age. You know, we had different fathers, so even though she's my sister biologically, a lot of resentment was there, a lot of animosity, a lot of drug use, and like I said, she was an alcoholic. I wasn't treated well. And so it's almost like you go from a protective situation into a broken situation of foster care. You finally get sort of adopted, so to speak, because I'm a ward of the court at this particular time. My sister took custody of me, but she's also dealing with her trauma as well. And I just felt like from 8 to 18, life is just this chaotic space. You know, life is not a situation that makes sense to my brain. And me recovering from that took my entire life on this planet because, like I said, I had nothing, I had no foundation. So I kind of faked my way through everything, right? When I'm 18 years old and I'm now out of the system, so to speak, and I go into the world, I don't know how I survived that other than just trying to be perfect. And so I think my whole life was shrouded into imperfection. But that's not who I was. You know what I mean? I think that I survived just by dissociating, so to speak. And it's so it didn't really come back to bite me, so to speak, until around 2008, 2009, when it came back full blown. And the event of 2008, I would say that's what really broke me down.
Before you go into that event,
for sure.
Make sure I get this right. So you're 8 years old.
Yes.
One of your brothers is strung out on drugs. He comes to your house. Everybody's in there living, and he sets the house on fire.
He retaliates against my mom, who had hit him over the head with a baseball bat. He set the garage on fire that was connected to the tree that's connected to the house.
Wow.
And so it just kind of went really quickly.
Did anybody die?
No one died.
Okay. Wow.
Sometimes when I share that story, people think that they said that we never ever connected again. People think that they all passed away.
Oh, yeah, me too. I thought so. So I'm glad you clarified. I thought they died and you were just a lone survivor. Ooh.
They died not in a physical sense.
Ooh, okay.
It was more emotional, where I had no more connection to the world. I had no connection to family.
I don't want to say it's even might be worse, but that's got to be tough because you know they're there, but they're not even coming to get you. As opposed to, you know, they're gone. There's a reasoning. But for you to be 8 years old and nobody to come back, it's like, what did I do? Why? 11 of you guys are there. Why Deshaun? Why? Is it because I'm the last one? Is it because, why was I so easily dispendable?
Yeah, that was a battle for the rest of my life on this planet. So the always feeling vulnerable or not good enough or inadequate. And I definitely had a trauma brain, and trauma brains are very different than these healthy brains. You know, a traumatized brain is hard to be grounded in the present. It's hard to be in the present because you're constantly dissociating with a trauma brain. You know, you can be triggered very easily, and here comes anger, and then you kind of out of body, or here comes anxiety. Out of body. A trauma brain is hard to be grounded in the present, no matter how good things are going around you. It's just that when you're holding on to that, because that's more vivid. The past is more vivid. The past is more intrusive, right? The present, things are going on, but the past is right there. And so at any moment, you're triggered and you're dissociating, you're going right back to feelings of anger, and that sets off these other things that are happening inside of your body. You know, one thing that happens when I sit there and talk about with young people today about how our brain is wired and we are not able to make a story whole in your life, your parents are vital. Because before the age of 13, you can't piece together what's going on in the world. You can't emotionally regulate. You can't process through the world, what you're experiencing. You hear a gunshot, click, click, click. You're looking at your parents. If they're okay and they're safe, then you're good. You can't process what's going on before the age of 13, 12 or something like that, right around adolescence. You can't understand what's going on in the world. You need your parents to make sense out of things. But if your parents are either emotionally unavailable to you or they're scaring you, that brain, that young brain, I'm 9, remember, I can't process the world, what's going on around me. I just know that people are gone that were there before. I need a parent to come make that whole for me because my brain's not whole yet. When your parents are not there for you because they're scaring you or emotionally unavailable, you just internalize your story. I'm the reason why dad isn't here. I'm the reason why they're getting a divorce. Kids just internalize their world because there's no one there making it whole. No one's there to fix it. right? And so you go through that through the whole course of your life as your brain's starting to develop and harden. A lot of that can get sealed in there. This feeling of inadequacy, this feeling of being invalid. So those are things we're trying to overcome my whole life. Feeling, am I worthy of love? Am I worthy of connection? And so what I did to kind of like avoid feeling those feelings is just shutting down. And that's my brain would just do that when I felt tough stuff. It just kind of like the massive shutdown. You have that fight, flight, shutdown situation where I was in that. It's too much coming in, and so collapse of the system, just collapse. I would just collapse and just shut down, and that was never more evident than 2008. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I was going to say, now we're going to go into that 2008. So the situation happens with your brother, you go into foster care, you become an adult, and then in 2008, I don't know how many years later that was, is where you kind of had your moment of like, oh, it's all coming out now. It's all coming out.
I had concealed so much, and I got through with just, back in those days, you're the handsome guy playing basketball, and I was good at basketball, and so you always had either a girlfriend or you always had focus on you for different reasons, and this is that and the other. So I just kind of hid with just being perfect truck, perfect job. I'm going to University of California, Santa Cruz at the particular time. I ended up in Santa Cruz, California. Everything is going well, so people think that I'm just pretty much flawless. You're playing basketball, you got a cool little girlfriends going on for yourself, you're doing things, and so I kind of made it through just being this idealized version of myself. Still a little broken part of who I really am. It was just a part of me. But I kind of got through. But around 2007, 2008, around that time frame, my mother passed away suddenly. And even though we were not, like I said, she's still my emotional attachment figure, even though we were not always together. But my brain shut down with the stress of that information, my mother passing away, because it made it real, right? And I'm in a relationship. I had just had a young baby. I got 2 daughters. I just had Ileana, who had changed my life. But my mother passing away just brought on a certain feeling that I hadn't really dealt with before, because it was real. It wasn't something I can fake my way through. It was not the perception of loss. It was actually my first significant actual loss on this planet.
Up until that point, when did you reconnect with your mother?
I think that I was about the age of 25. So I would say that we reconnected in Chicago about, let's say, from the time that I was like 8, 9-ish, around that time frame. I think we reconnected. I was a young adult, early 20s.
Oh, wow. So it was a substantial amount of time.
Yeah. And so I felt like we were actually truly connected to one another. And my mother, after the house burned down, I didn't mention this, but she was institutionalized. So she had a nervous breakdown, losing her house and all the kids. And so she was placed in a state hospital in Illinois, in Chicago. So that's why she was gone out of my life. So the court came in and made me a ward of the court. My mother's now unable or unfit or whatever. And then, so that's what made me kind of like at risk, and they put me inside of the a ward of the court, and then that's when my sister took over custody.
Got you.
Mm-hmm. So my father exited stage left.
Wow.
My mother was put inside of a hospital, and everyone else was kind of parsed out. You can't keep 12 kids together, so everybody went to different places.
Wow. So you reconnected with your mother.
So reconnected with mother, which was challenging in itself. You know what I mean, emotionally, but it was good. She loved her baby is how it was, and that's the way how she thought of me. And my mother was my hero for what she's overcame on this planet. I was born from the womb of a mom who was also traumatized. Her first 2 kids, that she had a kid at the age of 15 and a kid at the age of 16 from rape. And so my mother was traumatized, and she never healed from that. She just had multiple children.
Wow.
Right? But she never healed. And so my mother had her own mental health situations as well. And so, but she overcame that stuff, and she was still I feel like I'm kind of a representation of my mom, even to this day. People came to her to talk and for her to share information with. In the corners of Chicago, in the grass, she would sit in her little lotus position and kind of just talk, spiritual with people. And I think I just did it the right way, went to college and whatever, somehow. And so anyway, we reconnected, and she passed. That hit me. And then when I was trying to grieve that situation, my next hero, my second hero on the planet, my brother, got diagnosed with stomach cancer, and then he passed. And since I was still grieving my mother's situation, my brother's situation, on top of that, my brain just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. It was too many things going on at the same time. I was in a state of grief, but I was still dealing with all these hard things in the world. And I just shut down. And that shutdown took 3 years of my life. I was just a nomad. I had a job at University of San Diego. I lost that. I lost the relationship with my kid's mother, lost the cars, lost the house, lost the 2 family members. And then that's when my brain just kind of gave up.
Your mom passes, your brother passes, then your partner leaves you, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Was her leaving you due to, if you can break that down a little bit?
Her leaving was due to me being in that state of being overwhelmed and having that same trauma brain. Remember, my brain is still not healed. I'm still in that state of this trauma brain from when I was a young person. But this situation, because what happens when you don't process through your trauma, you cut off feelings in your life, but you absorb the energy of the feeling. That energy is stored in your body. What I try to educate people on when it comes to trauma is not the event that happened to you. Trauma is the emotionally dysregulated effect of the event that's stored in your body. It walks with you every day. It walks with you every single day. So when I finally allowed myself to feel 20 plus 30 years later to feel it, it has an exaggerated effect to it. So I didn't deal with it back when I was a kid. I just shut down. But when it came back as a grown man, it has an exaggerated, intensified 30-year of momentum effect on my brain, and it was just overwhelming. That's what I try to teach people when it comes to trauma. They don't understand. When you're just cutting off feelings, your body is absorbing the energy of the feeling, and it's stored in the container of the body. It sits with you to this day. You cut your stomach open, you cut your heart open, there's massive bacteria in there, what the brain has secreted into your body when it feels tough stuff. It stays there. It's not going anywhere. You age, but you're not growing. So me as a grown man, my process emotionally was like an 8-year-old kid. So when this heavy stuff was happening to me, my brain reverted to the first time it felt that feeling. So it's an explosion of information that just overwhelmed me. And so I shut down. I didn't wake up for 3 years. Didn't pay a bill on this planet. 3 years later, I wake up. My daughter saved my life. My second daughter. Natalia saved my life. Natalia was born 2 days after my mother passed. My mother passed. 2 days later, my daughter was born, my second daughter.
Wow. When
she called me, she's like 4 or 5 years old. Daddy, I miss you. I love you. That's what woke me up because I was living in a state of numb. I was just numb. Natalia called me and left a voicemail. I told you before, Ileana saved my life, changed my life. Natalia, she saved my life. Natalia called me, and I was in a state of shutdown for 3 years. Everything was gone when I woke up after coming back from my brother passing away. I get this message, I still have on my phone to this day. Daddy, I miss you. I love you. It sounds like she was my mother coming to rescue her son. It was, I hate to say it like that, but that's the way I felt. Like my daughter was born 2 days later. She has my mother's name. And she called me out because I was suffering. And then I woke up and I did the one thing that I've never done before. I had never done the whole time. I allowed myself to be vulnerable again. Because one thing about a traumatized brain that's in that survival state its whole life, it doesn't know how to be vulnerable. So every year of your life, your world is shrinking. Every year of your life, when you're in that survival state, your world is getting smaller and smaller. You're almost imprisoned in your own body. The only way out of that is to practice vulnerability. That's your gateway out. And after she called me, I called her mother. And I said, Tara, I need $40. Now, I had nothing on this planet. She gave me $40 because I was being vulnerable. And I went to the kids' school. No, I went to Ross, dressed for less, with $40. I bought myself a red shirt and a black tie, clip-on. I went to the kids' schools. They were going to a Christian school at the time out here in Vegas. It was called Mountain View Christian School. Their colors were black and red. I went to the desk. I started crying. Now, this is my first time connecting with somebody after about 3 years. And I said, I know you guys have seen me before. I'm the kid's mother. And I was at the desk, and I said, I need a job. We don't have anything for you. I said, I need a job. I just been suffering for 3. I need help. Being vulnerable. They gave me a job as an 11th grade chemistry teacher. I know nothing about chemistry to this day. I know nothing about chemistry. But it's a Christian school, so you don't have to have a teacher's credential. So they gave me a job as an 11th grade chemistry teacher in physical science. Now, I don't know anything about that to this day. That was 2014-ish in Mountain View. I'm in somebody's yearbook as a chemistry teacher. 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 I'm in somebody's yearbook as a chemistry teacher I don't remember it.
That's Vegas school system. Hey, you handsome? You know, you talk well. You can do it. That's good.
That gave me joy. You saying, wow. Yeah. That's funny. So, it's almost like Dorian, my brain came back like as a beast. Like when she woke me up, it's like my brain came back, and for some reason, I went home every single night and I studied chemistry. I was one day ahead of those students. I just studied every single day. And it's interesting that I don't know much about chemistry right now, but in that moment, like my brain came back so strong. And so I just started to seek therapy. And that was my first time going into a situation where I felt like I want to become a therapist one day. It's important for me to get myself together and to heal correctly. And so that, her waking me up kind of led to now I'm starting to worry about my own and focus on my own self-care, you know? And so that was the beginning of where I am at right now.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You can drink on water, or you can drink on water, you can drink on camera, whatever, it doesn't matter. Damn, Deshaun, there's so many parts of that I could relate to. One in particular, before we go deeper into your story, was, man, you said the way you were able to feel like everything was okay or dissociate was, oh, I'm play basketball, I'm the handsome guy, this and that. That was how I was living also, you know, because my trauma began around the same age, 8, 9 years old. We became homeless and all those things started to happen. And as I got older into high school and things started to happen, that was how I felt enough was, well, I'm a handsome guy, I play sports, I have charisma, I'm outgoing, I can get women, girls at the time I'm a kid or high school, but that made me feel valid. That made me feel, okay, I mean something. I get women. I don't like to use the word womanizer, because I didn't use women for nothing, but then in a sense I did. I used them for validation. I used them for self-worth.
Yes, exactly.
And it wasn't until when I first started my sobriety journey, and I went that, and I also told myself to go celibate, like completely no nothing, not attention, no texting, nothing. And during that time period of both happening at once is where it kind of all, the healing journey really began for me.
Absolutely.
To where the vulnerability,
mm-hmm.
I love that you said that. That's how you start to heal, is being vulnerable. And that's why I have the podcast. That's why I share everything on here. I don't really care, nothing to hide, no mask. But the more I started to do it, the more I started to connect with people. Mm-hmm. People started to see value in me that I didn't even see. Even to this day, sometimes I struggle to see. When people tell me certain things, good job in the podcast, or you're so good at this, or it's hard sometimes to even fathom it. I'm like, really? Like, am I doing these good things?
Mm-hmm.
Like me, knowing the background and who I used to be, it's still a struggle. I've gotten better at accepting it, especially compliments.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of fully take them on and really say a good thank you to people, because over the past few years, almost a whole life, somebody tell me something, that's a compliment outside of physical, I'm like, you're full of shit.
Yep.
You're lying. You just want to sound good and sound nice.
100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. I fully understand what you're talking about. That's the way it was. Matter of fact, I would say that's the way it is sometimes. That's not gone away. It's not a linear process of healing. Like, it's not just linear, boom, boom, boom. It still creeps in, you know what I mean? The self-doubt, this inner criticism, that's not really your voice. It's kind of someone else's. It's not really yours. You know, I talk to people all the time. I say, you know what? There's two versions of Dorian, so to speak. There's two versions of yourself. One is who you were born to be on this planet. You were born to be something special and unique. The other version of yourself is who you became when you were not protected emotionally.
Ooh.
There's two versions of you. Your job is to re-embrace and refine, reconnect with who you were born to be on this planet, not the person who, through broken system energy, and families are systems. Mine was broken, and I went into another broken system after that. Not what that system defined me as, or who I became when I was just trying to cope with that system. We give too much life to that person. The women stuff that you're talking about, the womanizing stuff, that's you coping with what you were not receiving emotionally. That's not who you were born to be, though. You became that version of yourself. And so now you're starting to connect with who you were born to be. Now you feel powerful. You know, the battle is now doesn't feel the same anymore. This is who you were born to be. That's different.
Mm.
This broken part of Deshaun, who I had became, the system was telling me that I was inadequate, not good enough. I'm like, hold on for a second. The part of my healing, I had to create a system that protected me. My emotional system, like people don't understand this part. Every single person in this room, African-American people who have also been in systems that, in America, there's certain systems, it's a system that doesn't protect you emotionally, right? You're gonna have to create that for yourself, a system that protects you emotionally. A lot of systems that we go into, you're not put first emotionally. You're gonna have to create that. This is what I did in 2013, as far as my little healing process.
Yeah.
Circle. Put my name in the middle of that circle, Deshaun. Only thing that went in that circle with me are my needs. What are your needs on this planet? My needs have to get met, not what I want in the world. When my needs are met, I'm happier. I feel replenished. I feel restored. This job for you, your needs are met. That's why you like it. That's why you do a great job. Your need is met somewhere in there. When you boil it all down, there's a need that you have. It's being met with this job, what you do out there for the world. As long as that's happening, your happiness is there. You're fed from that. It's the only system that protects you is the one that you create for yourself. You're going to have to create that because in the world that we live in, they're all broken systems all around you. Judicial, financial, education, prison, they're all broken systems. They're all around us. You don't come in first in any of these systems. You don't come in first emotionally. You have to create that. I created that for myself in 2013, 14. Deshaun, what are the 4 things you need on this planet? A healthy relationship with my daughters. I drove myself towards them when they were little. Now they're damn near grown. We have a great connection, but I drove myself in 2014 in that direction. That's what I needed. When they're good, when I'm good with them, I feel fed. I said, I want to have a job on this planet where I can help people get unstuck. Am I doing that right? I wasn't working then. I said, God, I need a job on this planet where I can help people get unstuck. If I'm doing that, I'm getting fed. That's a need. That's not a want. That was 2. A healthy relationship with their mother. I got tired of arguing with her. So I just kind of like be cool. Feel fed. I said I have my kids later in life, so I wanted to keep myself physically strong and fit enough so that when they got older, that I was present and physical. And I'm not sitting here, I can't do that with y'all. Mm-hmm. If I'm doing that, I feel happier. So this system right here feeds me so I can absorb the stuff of the world without I'm always emotionally solvent. You can't take my energy away. You can't, my feelings, my connection, my emotion, you can't take it away. I can always absorb the world because I'm fit. Sorry. Because my system feeds me. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. You have to create a system where you're number one, where your needs are being met. That's where the healing began. When I did that, it's just different. The world got shut off. I haven't seen TV really since the Cubs won the World Series. I'm from Chicago, 2016. I don't really watch TV. It doesn't give anything to me. It doesn't feed me. Not emotionally. My system does. So my strength comes from that. Every single day, somebody does something that gives me goosebumps. When I'm doing my work as a therapist, every single day, there's one person throughout the course of 6, 7, 8 clients who's going to sit there and say, Deshaun, I didn't see that. And I get a goosebumpy feeling because I got them unstuck. I said that 2013, 14. God, can I have a job on this planet where I can help people get unstuck? I'm not worried about other people validating me anymore. Back in those days you were talking about, I used to be like that. It's not anymore. And so my growth comes from that. Practice with vulnerability 3 times a week. I start practicing vulnerability. I need help. I need support because survival mode doesn't teach you about being vulnerable. It's the opposite of being vulnerable. Being in survival mode, the goal is at the end of your life, you're by yourself. You're completely by yourself and alone. That's the goal of survival. Like Tupac in his last days in that survival state. Everybody's an enemy. It's me against everybody. Right? In that survival space. Your practice with vulnerability, you said yourself, you feel like the world opens back up. Everything's online again. Everything's good. The world potentially is a safe place. It's not a scary place. But so many people today are actually operating in that survival state. That trauma brain that's just aging is not growing. You're not growing. In the world that we live in right now, it's a perfect testament to how we're not growing as a society. And I hate to sit there and go on this kind of pedestal on this part, but I got to do that.
Got to.
We practice 2 things every single day that block vulnerability. Pretend life and perfection life. We're all perfect and flawless, or we have this pretend life existence that blocks vulnerability. You can't grow in that space. You'll age in that space. You're on social media for 15 years living like that. You're not growing emotionally because you're not being vulnerable. So we practice the art of blocking vulnerability all day long. That's why we're the most overweight population collectively. because we eat our feelings. We don't want to sit there and do anything hard. We're the most medicated, sexualized. We don't want to do anything hard. So we just move on. We don't want to be vulnerable to anything, right? We don't want to feel anything hard. So we're not accountable for anything. Not me, you. And that bleeds into our religions, not them. I mean, not me, them. Our politics, y'all, not me. Inverse relationship with accountability. You're just blaming. Inverse relationship. You're not accountable for nothing. No one wants to feel anything hard. So we can't grow that way. We'll age. So many people in the world are just aging. They're not growing. Since COVID, no one's being vulnerable. What they went through during COVID, I said before, the brain saw scary stuff during COVID. Did you process through any of that? I told you, COVID was a trauma experience. It wasn't just a pandemic. People went through trauma, didn't process through it. They stored it in their bodies. Trauma is not the event that happened. It's the emotionally dysregulated effect of the event that's in your body. How you felt, and you didn't talk about it. And now we went 6 years. And so you had these people now, they're 18 years old, being released to the world, still in that trauma space, right? Haven't grown, just age. Go ahead.
You said something, you said a lot of good things.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is wild.
Probably haven't talked, well, yeah, you talk a lot, I guess, in your regular job. But, man, you said something that was very, gets me going. You said, people don't want to feel anything hard. And that's what I feel to my soul. I tell it to some of my clients sometime when I train them. And I'm a tough love type person. But key word in that is love. Just because it's tough and it's a way you don't like it doesn't mean I don't care or don't want the best for you. But I truly believe a lot of people who are going to watch this, see this, they don't like feeling tough things. Things get uncomfortable. Things feel weird. And it don't even feel weird. It's just something you're not used to. So what you do is you try to block it out. Get on the phone. Text that ex. Get on the dating app. You eat. You hit your friends up. Let's go to brunch. You do everything else but the things that are going to help you feel better.
Amen.
Which are learning yourself, working out, being to yourself. People don't like being alone because you know why? I've been there. It's boring, it's hard, it's lonely, it's uncomfortable. When I went sober and did all the things, went to solitude, oh, it was so hard, Deshaun. It was so uncomfortable, so weird, not texting people or not going out. But here we are 4 years later, and I'm like, I'm so glad I went through that mud because now I don't need outside things to make me feel whole inside. I was able to find it in my own. And it wasn't like I was just staring at walls. I was doing things to help improve myself in what I wanted to become. I wanted to become a better speaker. So I watched a lot of videos and a lot of content on speaking. I wanted to become a better fitness coach. So I dove in. I tell you all the time, you want to get better and you're lost, find out how to dive into yourself. How do you improve yourself as a human? Because when you do that, you're going to improve yourself so much, you're going to start attracting that and you're going to start looking for that. Before you know it, you have a tribe of people who are on the same level.
Yes.
And you got to be okay with the grief of losing the old you and the old people. Woo, it's a word, ain't it?
I love that. I'm sorry. I love
Cry,
that.
fuck it,
Yeah, no, I love
cry.
that. I love the part where you sit there said about, you know what I mean? Like you find that whole tribe of people and then you have to be okay with the grief of losing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're not okay with, hey, when you have your own system, which is what you created, people don't lose, you don't lose people. They what? They lose
you.
That's it.
And you know what's crazy is when I say that, it's not a negative way. And I'm not saying a negative way because losing them could be just for now, right? Like it's just right now, I'm on this path. You're my friend. I love you. You're my people. You're over here and that's okay. You seeing me doing what I'm doing might trigger you to realize, okay, I need to go on the sobriety train or I need to do some more self-work. And just like that, I've helped you go on your journey. Yep. And it might flip to where I'm ready to see you hang out, but you're like, I'm over here now.
Right.
So we all know everybody's growth level is going to be at different times.
We're not going to all heal at the same time.
But I think we got to be okay and content with understanding. It sounds good on paper. A lot of things sound good on paper. A lot of things look good until you're actually in it.
Mm-hmm.
Until you're in it. You want to heal. Okay, well, that's going to come with some ugly, very ugly stuff. And like I said, it sounds good, but until you're in it, that's where it's like, oh, do I really want this? Can I really do this? Which you can do it. I'll make sure the message is clear. It's just a practice, man.
I like what you said about the practice. That's one. I like that part. And I also like the whole mentality of we're not going to heal at the same time. I do a lot of couples therapy and I often see where you see here's the way that it typically goes down. When you have the woman, you have the male, and then the woman really wants to do work and improve this relationship, this marriage, whatever. The man's kind of halfway in, halfway out, whatever. And then she's healing, and then it just kind of drifts apart a little bit because we're not going to heal together at the same time. You have to be completely committed to doing that work that you're going to need to do in order to improve, but you have to be fully committed. We're not going to all heal at the same time. So I can't force you to heal with me, right? But if you come back and see me on the other end someplace, great. You can come back into my world. But now I'm establishing the rules. I created the system now. There's rules to the situation, and there's natural consequences. You can't disrespect my system this time. There's a natural consequence to that. You lose me. But you created a system. I'm not sure if you actually wrote that down, what the tenets of your system are.
No.
But you've done it. And so that's what fuels you.
It's crazy, Deshaun. When I think back on the portion of my life where I feel like the growth and the change started to happen, the main thing I know for sure was the sobriety and celibacy, but the things I was doing, when I speak about them now, it sounded like I had a plan, a system or anything.
Yeah.
Something in me was just like, I want better. I want to do better. And now as I'm saying it, part of it was the type of things I was allowing to myself to listen and watch. For example, one of my favorite speakers, Eric Thomas, watched almost all his content every day, all day. And I was finding people along that same kind of niche of self-growth and help. And that's all I was flooding my mind with and my ears. So long walks to the gym, or while I'm at the gym, it was no more ratchet music, which I still love to this day, but it was filled with just different podcasts and different information of how to switch that mindset, but also putting it to action. Because what I've come to realize is us as humans in this day and age with so much quick media, we become information hoarders.
That's right.
Where we go from one podcast to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Oh, you get the dopamine hit. Oh man, I got this new Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty information. I'm about to kill the game. But then that partner hits you with something that triggers you, and now you have no tools to put to use because you're overloaded with so much other stuff. You didn't put the 1 or 2 steps into action. And that's the message I want people to hear is when you're getting new information of how to grow and how to change, get 1 or 2 things and practice. You don't become a master until you practice.
One thing I like to share, just to piggyback on that part, you're 100% right about that, Dorian. It's like there's certain things we practice so often since we were young people, and it becomes like a pathway in our brain because think about when you're walking in the grass, if you see the grass and you keep walking the same direction, at some point you're going to see like this kind of opening that happens, like this trace measure, right? To show you this pathway because the groove, because you walk the same way through the grass. The brain's much the same way. If you keep practicing one response to tension that you feel, and that's all you do is just do this 1,000 times, the brain's going to go into that groove. It's not going to do this other thing you practice twice. You got to practice and do exercise to develop that muscle memory. You got to do something different. You can't just keep doing the same thing. So all you were doing, you got seduced by the brain a long time ago. Go drink this because the symptoms go away. And at some point you were drinking this thing and the symptoms went away. The brain seduces you. Keep doing that. That's the answer. And you kept doing that. But at some point the brain doesn't care about the body. The brain's just doing what takes away tension. That's it. The brain and the body work together. But most people communicate top down, brain to body. The brain seduces you. This is the answer. I don't want to feel these symptoms, this hard stuff. Do this. You kept doing that 1,000 times. You weren't doing this other practice. So when you're saying you got to get better, you have to practice this other uncomfortable, vulnerable act, this other thing, and keep practicing that if you want to start to improve, if you want to start growing. People don't want to do that extra practice of this other thing. It feels uncomfortable at first, but you keep doing that. Before you know it, this doesn't have the same power and authority over my life because I'm practicing or doing exercises over here. People don't do that.
I think we know too much.
You got that right.
Because as you're saying that, you got to keep trying and feel the uncomfortable. And I just like to use the example of riding the bike, right? We knew no better. We fell, it sucked, it hurt, but you kept going and kept going the next day, maybe even had training wheels. But at some point you learned to ride the bike, but you knew no better but to keep trying. But I think now we become adults. We've had trauma, we've had things, we care about people look at us or think of us. So now we don't want to do that uncomfortable thing because it has those feelings of, like I said earlier, something you don't know, so you think it's bad. When it's like that feeling is letting you know you're trying something new and different that just might, I'm not a genius, but it just might help you become better.
That's the growth part, that discomfort. My mom said back in the old days, she goes, learn to become comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Okay, real quick. I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
go ahead.
we know that, right? I think you can Google it. People who are going to watch this, they've Googled it. It's a motivational quote. Growth is outside of your comfort zone, or all those quotes, the cliche, right? Deshaun, in your opinion, how do we get people to actually adhere it and take it into action?
I think that for me, like, it's kind of like relaxing the brain to the point, or getting comfortable. There's baby steps, right? So first for me is just kind of like the self-talk. Deshaun, it's okay. Try this other thing. And like I try to, you're safe. You're going to be okay. Just relax. And I do the deep breathing stuff and the things that we always know. We know already, evidence-based stuff. You do positive self-talk stuff. You kind of just relax yourself. And then you put yourself into that situation that's different or challenging. You just do it, but you have to relax the brain first. You have to train the brain that it's okay and that it's safe to do something different. It's just not automatic. It's just not automatic to just do this other thing. You got to sit there and kind of go through a process of kind of calming the self down, calming the brain down, relaxing, and then trying something that's different. And before you know it, it becomes habituated, is the word, into something that's different. That habituation process, you have to slow down this brain. You have to overcome this active brain. You have to kind of flip it. Like I said before, most human beings communicate top down, brain to body. You can also flip it and communicate body to mind. And just relax. Just relax, Dorian. You're going to be okay. And try this other thing. And you keep doing that thing. Before you know it, habituation kind of can set in. And then all of a sudden, this becomes like a pattern or rhythm in your life. First, you got to calm down. We're like, sometimes with too much information, we're like this high wire acts. Like this. You got to calm it down first and then practice that other action. And then keep practicing that. It starts out with just 1 minute, 2 minutes. It's a progressive climb. It's not black and white. It's just not overnight. You're right. We all know these things, but we're not putting anything into practice. It's the objectives to reach the goal. It's the baby steps along the way. Muscle memory is the baby steps, slowing your process down and taking it back to just the basics. People aren't willing to do that anymore. They want to be specialists tomorrow, or they want things to feel great right away the first time. It's breaking down to nuts and bolts. People don't want to do that. But when people want to do that, the growth, it feels so much different. But trying to get the whole universe or whole society to invest in that, it's too many things in a way, like you said before. It's too many distractions.
It's too much.
Yeah.
I think there's too much. There's too many vices that people have access to that allows them to not have to go through the uncomfortable or deal with what they need to deal with. There's always something. You go on your phone and you can get everything on your phone. Like I said, the dating apps, porn, Instagram, TikTok. You go from one thing to another, and you can just be, before you know it, the whole day's gone, and you have to deal with it.
You can think that you're healing in that way, but at some point, there's a shelf life to everything, and at some point, it's going to take you out, so to speak. Back in the old days, what happens when we were injured, when we got to a situation where we were on our bike, you mentioned the bike, we got scarred up or whatever, we got into an injury situation, whatever, we got harmed. We went to the house, and every mother was the same in this situation. She didn't just put the Band-Aid on there. She applied the alcohol first. That was uncomfortable. People don't want to go through the uncomfortable anymore, the alcohol. They want the Band-Aid. That's it. They just want to get to that point. They don't want to go through the process of healing correctly. The alcohol was important to the healing process. You just want the Band-Aid over the scar. Well, you have that scar. You didn't heal. Alcohol kind of smoothed itself out. I kind of healed more effectively. They don't want to heal correctly. They just want to just Band-Aid their way through it. But you're not going to heal correctly. You're not going to heal the right way, because at some point, you can't do that anymore. The body isn't as resilient. You can't just cut off every single thing and just move on to the next thing. That's what before, the body stores the information inside. And at some point, either explosion or implosion, either aggression or depression is going to set in. It's going to happen because you're not dealing with anything. At some point, you're going to either act out, and that's anger turn outward, aggression, or anger turn inward, that energy of anger, that depression. Either implosion, explosion, one of the two is going to happen. You got to deal with your stuff. You got to do the hard stuff. You can't pretend like it doesn't happen or you don't feel it. You can suppress and block all you want, but at some point, you're going to meet your day.
Another good analogy I like to use when trying something new or going into those uncomfortable moments and feelings are just us as humans, our development. It took us 9 months to not only be developed within our parents, but also when I think about walking, right? I don't have kids. You have two.
Mhm.
I'm sure, to my knowledge, it's about what, 9 months or so when they start walking
Trying
by
to walk
themselves?
a little bit.
Roughly,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
8 months till maybe a year. But when you watch babies during that process, they never stop. They go from bobbling their head to rolling over to crawling. They walk, and I've seen videos, and I've been there and seen it. Like, you're so excited to see the first steps, and they just fall.
Right.
But then they still keep going and trying because they know no better but to keep pushing forward. And I wish, that's an analogy I love to use for people, is when you're going to something new or different, remind yourself, man, at one point I couldn't even walk.
Right.
Give yourself that same 9-month period of grace. Let me go 9 months of doing this consistently before I
like
throw in
that.
the towel.
I like that.
People don't like doing that. They like to go, oh, I did 30 days straight.
Right.
I did 60 days. I did
Mhm.
90. Nothing's happening. Why am I even doing this? Go 9 months first. Now, if you hit 9 months and you still don't see no change, you didn't do something right.
Right.
I'm not gonna take
No,
blame for
no,
that. There's something you're
yes,
lying on. There's
yes.
no way you can do something consistently for at least 9 months straight and not see a little bit of change.
Yes.
And what the problem is, that it's a little bit of change, and that's not enough for you.
That's not enough.
You think 9 months, I deserve all this and grit. No, dude. You didn't become this grown-ass adult in 9 months.
That's right.
9 months just got the ball rolling. 9 months got the ball rolling.
Right.
You came out, and then now there's a bunch of things that had to occur for you to get to where you're at now, alone.
So often, and I hate to talk about my clients, but I in therapy, that happens a lot. You know, people have a temporary flight of health and they're out. They do a couple of good sessions. Oh, hey, thanks. Okay, cool. And they think that's enough. They did in that temporary flight of health, and then I never see them again. Then all of a sudden I see them New Year's Day or New Year's, open up a new season. They're back again. Yeah, because you got to stick with this thing.
Yeah.
It's a process. You can't, it's not something that you just, it took. And then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 or 5 months, you're back because, you don't recognize, there's no insight, there's no foresight, right? You'll be back. You haven't done any real work, right? And so many people, like you said before, it's like they come in for a couple of months and all of a sudden it's like, they want me somehow to fix a situation or fix them, when it took them their whole life to become this person.
They want to know what pill it is, man.
What
Red
pill
or
it is.
blue? Red or blue, Deshaun? I need to be fixed today. It's my wife's fault.
I was on the phone this morning with someone and they said, Deshaun, it's about, they want to come for the medication. They're not really the talk therapy situation, antiquated, outdated. I kind of just want to get this little thing.
Yeah.
And most of the young people who come in here requesting medication in my practice, they're coming for medication.
So, Deshaun,
Go ahead. I'm not against medication, by the way, but go ahead.
no, not a medication question, but, addicted parents, your brother set the house on fire,
Mhm.
it sent you to foster care, your mother passes away, your brother passes away, your wife then leaves you during your grief and overload, but yet you're still here, Deshaun, and you're helping other people. How?
Because I forgot what I didn't remember so much as I was going through all of this. And first of all, let me give Tara some grace. She didn't leave. Yeah. No, she didn't leave because she's just somehow a bad person. I shut down on her.
Gotcha.
So some people was like, come on, you left me on an island by myself. You know what I mean? And so I wasn't the good version of Deshaun. And so I definitely want to make sure I cleared her on that one. What did I do? I have to remember when I started to create my own system, I have to remember the good stuff that I did. I have to re-narrate my story from a position of strength. I have to re-narrate this thing. You went to the University of California. You got a master's degree. You lived in Stockholm, Sweden. You lived in Sydney, Australia. How did you do all these things? How did you get licensed as a professional? How did you do all these? Yeah, I was 27 when I graduated from college. It didn't matter. You did these things somehow, these hard things. How can you be a loser? Because my brain, because of the system, how it raised me, I thought that I was a loser and I was convinced of that and I kept repeating that. And more losses I sustained in this world, I kept reinforcing that belief that I was a loser. I had to re-narrate my story from a position of strength. I had to sit there and say that you can't be a loser because it's impossible that you did all these things. You had every reason in the world to sit there and hate the world and hate everybody and inflict harm on people. I had nothing. I had every reason in the world to do that stuff. And I probably would have got off on it. If I'd have committed some kind of crimes or whatever, I probably would have got off on that as the excuse that I went through so much hard stuff. But I have to remember the great things that I had did on this planet. It wasn't all bad. And that's what gave me life. It renewed my spirit. That's the thing that woke me up. It was more than just Natalia, but I had to remember what I had accomplished, what I've done, the hard stuff that I had did on this planet in spite of that stuff. And I gave that more life is what I'm trying to say. I gave that more life. And so suddenly the darkness kind of retreated. And so that's how I'm able to help other people, because you probably can't tell it in this podcast, but I'm vibrant. I sweat when I'm sitting there talking and teaching and educating. I'm on top of things like that. I'm passionate about it, right? Because I went through it. I know how difficult it is when you're by yourself and there's nobody's hand out to sit there and hold you, to help you get through it. And so I'm like that with every single client. I don't care if you're 94, I don't care if you're 7, I'm like that. And so that's what I was born to be. I told you before, who you were born to be and who you became. The person who was really bad to the world and shutting down on people, that's who I became. That wasn't Deshaun. I stopped giving that life. I was born to be someone exceptional, who cared about people, who wanted to connect, who wanted to educate. And so I just fell back in love with that person, and I made that person whole. The system I grew up in didn't cultivate that. It left me fractured. So I went out to the world, I was about 10% of my true self. Now I've recovered self. I have a sense of self now. Purpose. I recovered a whole self. The job of any situation with parents, you talk about kids and parenting, the job of any family is to produce children who, when they leave the nest, they have a healthy sense of self. I left dependent, wounded. I had to create that on my own, a sense of self. And now I finally have it. And that's what I help support people with to this day, creating that healthy sense of self that you should have had when you left the house.
Accountability when it comes down to it.
Absolutely.
Are there any, we're up here in a few minutes, but I want to get a few more good questions in. So for people who are listening to this and watching this, and they're in that position you were in, right? I like to make it tangible and easy for them to get to of what they can do, in your opinion, based off of your experiences and your knowledge as a therapist. What is 1 or 2 tangible things they can begin? Like, they hear this and it come out your mouth, like, oh, okay, I can do that.
The number one thing, like I said before, is the creation of an emotional system that protects you. And so get a piece of paper, put your name in the center. This is your system. Inside of that circle with your name are your needs emotionally. Every single person on this planet has 4 or 5 things that they need. They're different than everyone else's. Write those needs in that center. Only person who has access to you is supportive of your needs being met emotionally. Everyone else, there's a natural consequence. They lose you until they understand the rules. You have to create a system that protects you emotionally. So do that first. Figure out what your needs are. Most of us have been our whole life sacrificing and being what others want us to be. What are your needs? Get a piece of paper and start that process of recognizing what your needs are. And stop telling yourself difficult things that are not your voice, because those are not those inner voices that you hear that criticize you and say you're inadequate or not good enough or you're weak or this is that and the other. That's not your voice. That's the voice that you internalized. So talk to yourself nicely and kindly with compassion. I had to start doing that. Those are tangible things. Talk to yourself well. Dorian, you're amazing. You're talented. You're smart. Just relax. Talk to yourself with softness and kindness and create a system that protects you. Those 2 things. Start there.
That's great. Now, as we wrap up here, the last question I'll have for you is, what's a quote or a mantra you live by and why?
I have to think about that for a second because there's so many things that go in my head. But the one big thing that comes up to me is like, don't pray for an easy life. Pray to be a strong person. That's always been there. Don't pray for an easy life. Pray to be a strong person. And my whole thing is, it's not about a physical strength. It's an inner strength, And so I live by that. I don't want an easy life, and life has not been easy, but I've been strong through it. Right? And so I pray to be a strong person. So that's a quote that I've always lived by since the 80s.
Woo! That thing is vintage, baby. Right. And it's still working.
Still working.
Yeah. Well, Deshaun, thank you so much, man, for sharing, being open and vulnerable. I think it's beautiful when we have not medical, I don't know the word to use, professionals, therapists who are willing to come on my podcast. I love it, and share their vulnerability and openness, because we see people like you, therapists, you got it all together, you got this and that. We need to be honest with ourselves, like, dude, they're human too.
Amen.
Everything you're going through, they're going through also, but They're putting on their strongest face to make sure you don't keep going down a sabotaging route.
Right.
So I think it's important for more therapists out there to be open and honest, because I think it humanizes you. So we see you like, dude, yeah, he's a therapist and all, but he's real.
Right,
and you know what's crazy is
pedestal.
that us seeing that you're real lets us, in my opinion, I trust them more. I trust their opinion more as opposed to somebody who seems so prepped up and perfect, Harvard degree, whatever, glasses and all that shit. Like, no, dude, no, Sarah. I don't care about your degrees. I want to know why your dad left you, your family. I want to know why, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know the nitty gritty, the real.
Yes. I appreciate that.
Is there anything coming up in the holidays or anything people know about as we finish up?
To be honest with you, Child Strong. Going into 2026, I think me creating my own agency, Child Strong, with the focus on creating your own system emotionally. Look out for that, Child Strong. My name is Deshaun Childs, and being strong is, just kind of paying homage to my brother who passed away. Child Strong was kind of his kind of moniker. So that's what I want people to look for coming up in the future here, is this just my work and the importance of creating your own system for these young people out here in the world, moving forward. And so, yes, that's
all
pretty
right.
much
So
it.
what I'm going to do is, by the time this episode comes out, you should have an Instagram handle ready. So we're going to tag it, and this is going to be your first content that you're going to use.
That's awesome.
Because you say you want to help these people.
Yes.
Granted, you can help people in person and see them, but with the social media, you can reach thousands and millions, and you have great information to divulge, and I think they need it. They need people with real stories, giving real information to help people get real results. Woo! That's a tag right there.
You know what? I want you to end it. This is your show.
But go ahead.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because I've been needing that help for a very long time. I think that I wanted that. And so I think that I came here with notes. And what happened with my active brain, I left the notes at home. So I had to completely wing it today. Yeah, so good. I appreciate you making it comfortable for me and kind of catapulting me into 2026. I appreciate that, because I've been looking for that for a long time out here in this area.
You're welcome, man. I do the same thing. I have notes all the time, but I never go with them just because it's more better, raw and authentic. I appreciate you, Deshaun. And I'm going to tag his Instagram, so he better have it by the time I post this video. If not, find his LinkedIn, verbally abuse him on social media. Let's break him down until he shows up. And I'm going to leave you with the word, your favorite part. Where you're at right now in life is your fault. What happened to you in life isn't always your fault, but you still need to take accountability. Use what happened to you as your power. Take it. You made it to this far in life for a reason. Figure out what that is. Stop using excuses of not having things growing up, not having people around. You have the opportunity to use those struggles to make you better, to make you grow. Stop being a victim. It's your fault. How far you go is your fault. Where you're at right now is your fault. Sorry to break it to you that way. Rewrite your story. Be great. 2 words. Keep growing. Child strong.
Absolutely.
Blah, 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 blah.